The Site Options page lets you customize all the design options for your entire site. If you look through the settings here, you can see all the available options. One of the main ones is whether you'd like to have the top navigation be across the top there or on the side. You can have it either way. And then the navigation link style. Right now there's three main designs to choose from. You have the minimal, just basic text links. You have the rounded bricks here, which have a border and background color you can customize, a little more stylish. And then there's the square blocks, which are large square blocks of different colors. And you can select a color palette for these. There's several to choose from, and it randomly generates a nice palette that goes together there. And you can copy and play around with the hex codes if you care to. For now, we'll just stick with the minimal and move on. In the color section, you'll see there's 12 basic colors just to get you started. If you just want to pick something that looks nice and not have to worry about all the individual colors, there is quite a lot of color options for your site. Every piece of your site, basically, you can adjust the color, not only of it by default, but also when you hover a mouse over it as well. And you're also customizing the entire interface of your site as well. Things like the button color you can adjust, which right now that's the only thing you can adjust, the transparency of it to be whatever you like. And that button color is going to show up in the user interface throughout the site. So basically, if you click on it, you'll see then you can adjust the color wheel here and load these, play around with the settings here, dial into whatever you want, or copy and paste in these hex codes. So there's lots of options. It might take some time to play around with and use, so that's why it is usually easier just to stick with one of these default color options up here, or just load them from a shared style on the other page. Now if we go in here to the background gallery, you'll see that if you have a background image, you can have a background image for your navigation bar, whether it's at the top or the side, and then your page body as well. So if we go into the background gallery, well, look, there's quite a large number of backgrounds to choose from. You can upload your own as well, but if you go in here, typically if you have dark text, you're gonna want a light background. You can stick with that, and you can preview them. So just like click through and try out any of these you like. There's also medium colored ones, which are a little bit more busy, which you have to be careful with these, but can look nice in the right situation. And then dark backgrounds, which these are only going to be useful if you have light text, like white or very light text. So you'll have to adjust your color settings to go along with your background. If you change your mind though, just click none. And that top section there is for the navigation bars, and the bottom section is for the page body. So you can go through and check any of those, but if you change your mind, just hit cancel, and it'll take you back to the page before. And again, here we have some other settings. We'll skip ahead down to fonts. Now this is an important section where there's a few selections that look really nice that you can just click on these if you don't want to worry about it. We've had designers pick these out to be very nice, but if you like, you can customize the individual fonts. There's hundreds to choose from here. Just a huge library of Google Web Fonts that here. Pretty much any style you can imagine is in there. You can take some time to go through and look at them, but you can customize the fonts for any. Typically for a site, you don't want to have more than 2 or 3 fonts. It'll get a little busy if you go too crazy, but you do have the option to do whatever you like with that. The text logo, specifically if you're using that instead of an image logo, here's where you would change that font. That one, can maybe be more adventuresome with. And then below that, we'll get into the other design options here. There's some things like if you have a text logo, you can turn the shadow on or off, which sometimes might look good. Frame photos, which if you want, basically just puts a border frame around all the images on your site, and you can choose the color of that above. Underline headlines, it puts a little touch there, just a line under any of the page titles and headlines on your page. And speaking of headlines, you can have the headlines left aligned or centered on the page or wherever they're located. It's up to you. And then there's breadcrumb links, which are basically just navigation helpers. They'll go across the top of the page, and that way if you get deeper into the site, you can always see where you are in the hierarchy and quickly jump around the site. So that's more for navigation, but you can turn that off if you want. There are 2 different types now. You just have a minimal text link, which shows the structure here. Of course you have the top home page, and then you get into your navigation page layer, the next down, and then the sub pages there. And this can go as deep as you want. With Simplpost, you can make as complicated a site as you like, or keep it simple, which is a few pages. But yeah, you can have the minimal, just basic text links, or you can style it, which you adjust the colors of these and have a little bit more going on with it if you like. And then the next option is the next and previous links, which if you have this turned on, it's going to basically put little arrow links at the bottom of each page to scroll through your site. So people browsing your site can just easily click to the next page or go back and browse through your entire site in a linear way. That makes it really easy to get around. And then the last option in that setting is the navigation bar border, which is basically just a border line between your navigation section and your main page body, whether it's on the side or the top, just a thin line there, which again, you can change the color of that to be whatever you like. And then when you get into the preferences, we have like show instructions, which by default will be shown over the page. And if you don't need those anymore, you can just turn that off. And then there's also sample images and sample text, which if you have those turned on, when you create a new page, it's just going to be some placeholder text or images there to get you started. But if you want to just start with a totally blank slate, just uncheck those options and then you'll never see them again. And if you're going to be selling things on your site, leave this enabled. If not, it'll just remove that feature from the site and you won't be bothered with it. And if you are selling, you can pick your currency to be any of the worldwide currencies that are supported. There, you can set that to be whatever you like. And then the last option is the social media buttons, which if you do want to have Facebook and Twitter buttons on each page, you can choose to have them at the top or the bottom of each page, or both. And but that's basically it. So just be aware with styles. This is all the settings. It's basically everything except for the page layout. Templates are what makes up the layout of each page, with the content and the structure, where you have multiple columns and what have you. Styles is basically everything in this section here, which is separate, so that you can just quickly change these around and you'll never have to worry about it breaking your site or anything. No matter what, with all these settings, your site is always going to be responsive, which just means that it's going to look nice on any size screen, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet or a large desktop or laptop screen. So you don't have to worry about breaking anything, but certain settings, do be careful with the colors and what have you. If you put the same color text is on the background, then it's going to make the text invisible. So usually if you do something like that breaks, just go back to one of your save styles or load a shared style, and that'll just reset that. So feel free to experiment, but just be aware of how it does work, because it can get a little advanced if you've never designed a website before. Just let us know if you have any questions or anything. If any of these settings are confusing, please let us know. It's still under development, and we're going to be adding more features here as time goes on. But right now, this is just kind of bare minimum to have a huge amount of flexibility and the look and feel of your site.